Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Ted Rowlands outside the Ada County Courthouse in Boise, Idaho, where it is day 17 of testimony in the Doomsday Cult Mom murder trial for Lori Vallow Daybell. And we've been watching testimony continue today here as the state continues to present its case in chief. We do expect the state to wrap its case possibly by the end of the week. Lori Vallow Daybell, charged with the 2 counts of her first-degree murder for the deaths of her children, Tylee and JJ. She also faces conspiracy charges for the death of her husband's first wife. On the stand now is a health insurance broker who worked with Chad Daybell to get him some health insurance after the passing of his wife, Tammy. This morning, the jury heard some cross-examination, though that was eyebrow-raising, to say the least. The husband of Lori Vallow's niece, Ian Pawlowski, said at one point, talking about Lori, said that Lori claimed that she had folded Satan up like a taco and was locking him in a box in Antarctica. He went on to say that Lori also thought that, quote, law enforcement's, with an S, were dark beings and were impeding the holy mission, Lori's holy mission. So a lot of more of this wacky talk, the religious stuff this morning here in front of the jury. Let's talk about their beliefs, Chad and Lori's, their doomsday cult following, all of their religious beliefs. It is quite a tale, and prosecutors believe that their obsession with the end of the world and with each other and these visions that Chad and Lori both claim they had were at the core of this murder investigation. Take a look.
We're gathering together as saints, as brothers and sisters, and preparing for the second coming of Christ. We want to be there together, and we want to be there strong together.
That's Lori Vallow on a podcast in November of 2018 discussing the end of times. A few months later, this is what Lori's now dead husband, Charles, told police in Arizona about how Lori's religious beliefs had become disturbingly extreme.
Her religious stuff has gone way off the deep end. She threatened me physically. She made threats at the kitchen. Doesn't care what happens to her. Come get him. I don't care. We won't hear that much longer anyway. And I've got my God powers on the kid if I want, anytime I want. It's just irrational stuff. Yeah. She needs some serious help. I want her to get help. I'm worried about her.
Both Lori and Chad told friends and family that they are part of the 144,000, which is a biblical reference from the book of Revelation.
The book of Revelation has a chapter in which it talks about how when Jesus comes back to the earth, or in anticipation of that, then there will be 12,000 elders or members from each of the 12 tribes of Israel. And so when you do 12 times 12,000, that's how you get to 144,000.
According to friends, Chad believes that he and Lori are not only part of the 144,000, but that it's up to them to lead the other chosen ones after the second coming of Christ.
I've recently released my autobiography entitled Living on the Edge of Heaven, where I tell more about my 2 near-death experiences.
That's Chad Daybell talking about his books on a website called Preparing a People. The video has been removed. In his books, Daybell claims that near-death experiences, the first when he was a teenager diving off a cliff, gives him the unique ability for visions, a sixth sense of events that will happen or are about to happen. According to his friends, Chad had visions that his wife Tammy was going to die, that Charles Vallow's body had been taken over by a zombie, and that Lori's children, 7-year-old JJ and 16-year-old Tylee, were also zombies. Chad, according to friends, also believes that he's had many previous lives and has even been married to Lori in past lives on different planets. Chad told his friend Julie Rowe he was James the Less, or James the Just, one of the 12 apostles.
He started telling me about how he had an attack. He was in his living room in Rexburg, Idaho. The way he described it was that his veil was more open than it had been, and he started remembering some of his past lives.
How and why Chad and Lori's religious views became so extreme is unclear. Friends of both say something changed.
Chad's been a very prolific author, so in the past, I would say a lot of his publications are very much in the mainstream, but it does seem that recently, their trajectory seems to be taking them away from the kind of center where most people in the faith would have them.
All right, let's talk more about all of this religious mumbo-jumbo with Jack Rice. He's in St. Paul, Minnesota, and in Atlanta, Georgia. Criminal defense attorney Josh Schiffer. Two men that I think you guys might have been friends in a past life.
We confirmed that. Back when I was actually a Roman Caesar, Jack and I switched positions over several generations during the conquest of Central Europe.
What do we think of all this, and how does it affect this trial?
With Lori?
The religious stuff, yeah. How I put it in perspective now, we're getting down to the 11th hour of the prosecution's case here, winding it down, and they've consistently peppered in this theme throughout, using these lay witnesses, these inner circle witnesses. We had the other one this morning here. How important is it for the state's case, and how much do you think the jury's going to take it into consideration when considering a verdict here? Jack.
Well, I think when we look at this religious component, this is important in many different ways, and it actually cuts both ways depending upon how you want to argue it. If we think about it from a prosecution standpoint, this actually pulls Lori closer to Chad and pulls her into the mix. The decisions that Chad's making, why he's making them, why he was involved. I mean, we look at the number of witnesses that have been called, the vast majority of whom have actually supported the bad acts of Chad, and then they're pulling Lori in. Now, we've seen a couple of witnesses that have come in subsequently, and so this religious component brings them even closer together. At the same time, if what Lori could do, and this is the drum we've all been beating, if what Lori and her defense counsel could do is make the argument that Chad Daybell was John the Just, Chad Daybell was one of the original 12 apostles. He is the leader. He is going to be running these 144,000, and that Lori was just following in his wake, cast in that position where he cast a spell upon her. She was the one who was a victim, like so many others, to what this man has done. They have not done that. And so the problem is this religious piece does not help her with the power that it could if she's willing to make that distinction. She hasn't been as of now.
Yeah.
And Josh, she doesn't seem to be willing to throw Chad under the bus, which is a huge component here if they want to go that route.
That's the whole problem. Is it appears from my perspective she's still potentially under his spell. She's still an acolyte of Chad Daybell. And if she's going to be a successful acolyte, she's going to support him and save him and protect him from danger. That's not a very good defense for her. What I'm waiting for is the defense to really close the circle, like Jack's talking about, and show the jury that due to her position as a follower, as one of the sheep behind the shepherd, she wasn't making the choices that resulted in these deaths. She was just a tool or a pawn for him. Problem with that argument is it's not exculpatory, it's mitigation. It's great for sentencing, but they're still going to look to convict. And I'm really waiting for the defense to put forward whatever their argument is for Lori to escape criminal liability and get away from some of this mitigation.
Here's Melanie Gibb talking about Lori claiming that she is here on Earth because she's on a mission from God.
She felt, and she shared with me, that she had been married to a prophet from the Book of Mormon named Moroni.
And did she share this information with you before she ever met Chad Daybell?
Yes.
Did Lori ever indicate anything about having a special mission here on Earth?
She felt that she was part of the 144,000, and then as she developed her relationship with Chad, she felt like they were the head leaders of it.
And when you talk about the 144,000, can you explain a little bit about what that would mean?
It's referenced from Scripture and the Bible and the Doctrine and Covenants about a group of 144,000 that would be here during the return of our Savior, and they would help do a great missionary work throughout the world. And they would have, a lot of a spiritual endowment from on high.
So if someone were to be the head of that 144,000, would that be a pretty high calling?
Absolutely.
Would that be a position of pretty significant power?
Yes. She would tell me that they were sealed together by, I believe Moroni was there, and possibly, I believe she said Jesus Christ.
Did you want to believe Lori?
I think sometimes. She's very convincing.
Jack Rice, this is something the state can use because Melanie Gibb says Lori had this going on in her head before she even met Mr. Doomsday, Chad Daybell. So I would assume in closing arguments there's going to be a little reminder of Melanie Gibb's testimony.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Because if we think about where she is, meaning Lori, the idea that she would never have been in this space but for Chad, the problem is she was in this wacky space before she even met him. And so this simply continues down the path. Now, there may be one slight angle to this that the defense could consider. The idea that you show how, and I'll use that term wacky again, some of these beliefs are by almost all of these witnesses. You could try to drive the jury to say, considering the baseline of all of these people, what they believe, what they want to believe about Moroni and about Jesus and about who she was married to and about who he was and all of these things, that you should discount and dismiss all of them because they're so wild, so out there, so beyond the pale that there's no way that you can actually buy with any confidence any of them. And if you can do that, you might be able to peel all of that evidence off of Lori, which is exactly what the defense is desperately trying to do. And frankly, at this point, not doing it very well.
Yeah, and they have to do it because the physical evidence actually is not overwhelming. You know, you got the hair in the duct tape, but in terms of Lori and her culpability, they need the story and they need all of this other dressing to make it fly.